We'll start with review the agenda for any additions or adjustments. None that we know of.
Nope. In my tier report, I suggested we might want to pass over the discussion of the preliminary town meeting warnings, but I think we should discuss it with some new information, or not necessarily new, but we have some things to talk about there.
All right. Overview of Zoom meeting operations and procedures. Everybody should be familiar with that by now. And if not, we'll scold you when you try to jump in. Public forum, opportunity for citizens not on the agenda to briefly share comments or concerns.
Yeah.
Anyone?
Me.
Go ahead. Yes.
Okay, I don't need to raise my hand. So I'm coming tonight as my concern is a public health nurse. My background is public health. I'm a retired nurse with my master's in public health. And I'm just really concerned about the rise in COVID. And I'm mostly concerned about the hospitals collapsing and just having not being able to take regular patients because the COVID patients were overwhelming our health system. And I just think that we need to do everything we can to try to reduce this infection. And I think that we should really revisit the mask mandate for the town. And I've been talking to Dave Silverman, who is the High Bailiff of Addison County. And he said that if the select board passes a public health rule, not an ordinance, a rule, that it does not require police or reinforcers, and it doesn't require having a penalty. That's an ordinance. This is just a public health rule. And it's basically supporting our businesses who are already pretty good about requiring mask mandates. But the town is saying to them, we support you. We have a mask mandate, and you can say, if customers come in, you can say, this is a town public health rule, and that supports them and gives them that support. And studies have shown that when you have a mandate, people do better at wearing masks. So I think we need to revisit it. I was there at the meeting when you decided not to, and I was with you on that. We weren't as concerned, but we've got a new situation. It's really dire right now. So that's my appeal to you as the select board to pass a
Linda, do you have examples of other communities that adopted such language? Do you know what the language would be that you could share with us?
I can't share that with you, but I can ask Dave to share that.
Yeah, if you could track that down.
But it's mainly for mask mandates for indoor public spaces. That's what it's for, for the indoor public spaces. Yeah, I'll do some more research on that. And
that is planned to be an agenda item for the next meeting on the 10th.
Oh, good.
Is a discussion about town buildings, but yeah, so that's going to be on the agenda anyway.
Okay.
And this meeting is primarily a budget meeting. This is a special meeting.
Oh, sorry.
But but no, it's on the agenda that we do this part of the meeting, so we're doing it.
Oh, okay.
I mean, I think as a board, we fully support any business that requires masks, and we said that, and the only reason we didn't make it a mandate was because Bruce said there was no way to enforce it, and if somebody thinks that it was something we said had to happen and it didn't, they'd be calling him to come, and he'd have to inform them that it wasn't his gig.
That's if it's an ordinance. That's if it's an ordinance. There has been confusion on that. So an ordinance is people vote on it. It goes, it's a ballot, and you have to vote on something like that.
But I think a mandate could be confusing to some. You understand it, and you helped me to understand it, but somebody who's uninformed is going to be uninformed.
Yeah, maybe what I could do is have Dave talk to Bruce and give him some input on it, and besides looking at other towns and what they're doing. So maybe that.
You should probably talk to Valerie.
Sorry?
I said Dave should probably talk to Valerie, so she
Yeah.
can get the, and pass it on to us.
I mean, if enforcement's not gonna be an issue, then Bruce probably doesn't need to be brought in on that particular conversation.
You thinking he has enough to do without that?
Yeah.
He's chuckling.
No, and in fact, this really can't really be enforced, but I mean, if someone really refuses, the people just can't do too much about it. But at least it's saying that you support it, that you support wearing masks in public places. It's a big deal.
So I guess if you're not opposed, the suggestion would be to get a little more information for our next meeting. If you get it to Valerie before Wednesday, we can put it on as an agenda item.
This
And
Wednesday, this Wednesday?
yeah, Wednesday is a cutoff to get on the agenda and next week's
But
a
it's already-
regular
Val said-
scheduled meeting, so.
Val said it's already on the agenda.
Right,
So she
but
just
it's-
needs the information.
Yeah. So we've already got a spot for it, so if you get her the information so she can get it out ahead to us ahead of time, that would be great.
Thank you.
Okay,
Yes.
anything else?
No, that's it.
All right, thank you.
Welcome.
Department head roundtable. Are we doing that tonight or are we just doing budget?
The two that are here are gonna be talking budgets anyway.
Okay. And nobody else is here. Do you mind if we skip that or you got anything or pattern you want to report?
It's cold out.
Cold out. There you go. You heard it from the road foreman. It's cold out. All right, regular business, budget workshop. Public Works, Police, General Fund, and Capital Improvement Plan. Who do we want to start with? Bruce, have you got other things going on? I know Eric doesn't care. He's just gonna sleep over the barn anyway.
Oh, no, not tonight.
No, not tonight?
Not tonight.
It doesn't matter to me.
No, I don't care if yours. don't matter to me.
That way, if you get
Called out.
called out, well,
Yeah.
I'm jinxing.
Yeah.
We'll send Eric. Give him
Do
your camera.
folks-
We'll give him your gun.
Shall I start sharing my screen with the police budget?
Yes, please.
He says, yes, please.
Okay, let me get there. Let's see, general fund, recreation. Oops. Okay,
Probably didn't have much time to view it because I didn't get it. All the numbers entered until this past weekend. Things have been a little busy.
Yeah, my homework time is on the weekend, so if I get anything Monday, I don't see it. Until I get here.
So the budget that I have proposed that's up there is utilizing the COPS grant to have a fourth full-time position. There's not much change other than the salary line goes up. And there's a couple other lines that we've added to for either equipment or uniforms. I don't know if you want to take a look at it first, if you have specific questions. I don't know about going through line by line.
Don't really go through line by line unless there's some big change.
The biggest thing is the COPS grant, we would use a third of it to offset the cost. If we scroll all the way down to the bottom with the numbers that we have, it's like point, I can't see that. far.
0.03?
Zero, yeah. it's a
0.3.
0.3.
0.3%, so less than 1%.
Increase in taxes.
So question, Bruce, you said you'd use 1/3 of the COPS grant to offset the cost.
Yes.
So offset what cost? The salary, the
The total cost.
total cost?
Yes, the grant gives us $125,000 that we can draw down any way that we wish
Over
So,
125,000
over 3
all
years.
3 years? Not, you don't get it each year.
No, just a
Okay.
total of
Okay.
125. So when I drafted this one, I used a third.
A third, okay, that's
I
what I was
was
trying to
gonna do a
figure out. what
third,
the
third, and a
difference. Okay, got it.
I was trying to come up with some ideas on how we can offset the 4th year, because according to the grant, we're supposed to keep the position for the 4th year.
Mhm.
I don't, in talking with Ian and Valerie, I don't think we can increase taxes until we get to there.
Mhm.
But I thought if there was a way to offset and increase a small amount each year for 3 years, it would be
It wouldn't be
less
so
of a burden
earth-shattering.
for that last
Yeah.
year. But
Yeah.
also, we have some funds in the, I think they're calling it the undesignated fund
Yeah.
balance.
Mhm.
When we budgeted for positions and we had people leave, we didn't fill those positions immediately, so there's some funds there that I would propose that we use that the 4th year, or depending upon what the total is, the 4th and 5th year to help offset the cost, so you can absorb the increase.
So if your budget stays where it is, we have that undesignated funds now, you're not looking at using that for anything currently, you're suggesting we sit on it.
Sit on it, yes. We
It-
we gain that from salaries, so I would
Mhm.
think that would be the appropriate place to use it.
Can you put that in?
Worthwhile to note that this increase
Oh,
in
we-
full-time salaries reflects also a decrease in the part-time salaries.
And decrease in the overtime.
I'm just,
And the
I'm
overtime.
just trying to figure out the end tax implications. You're basically pushing it out. Well, right now you're pushing it out 3 years with a grant.
Right.
The undesignated fund balance, you could push it out another 1, maybe 2 years. And then you're gonna get hit with that. With all
The total increase
That-
in the 6th year.
yeah, that
5th or
total
6th
increase
year.
all at once, and I wonder if maybe your plan would be better served if we did what you said, save that money, and instead of doing it out over a year or 2 years, we
Partial.
did it so that the bump was steady for
Like 3 years,
3 years. So it would, you know,
rather than getting a 10% increase on year 5, you get maybe a 3, and a 4 or something.
So when Bruce and I and Val spoke this afternoon, I guess I didn't know what would be the way to do that? Because it's a salary increase, but we can't just add the salary in to someone who's already being covered. So how do you do that then? Since you have to use that grant money and it's paying that
Right.
salary, how do you add additional money to the percentage or to the salary line to covering that 3%?
you wouldn't.
And then not use it.
Bruce's idea is to take the undesignated fund balance and not spend it on something else, save it for year 4
And
and possibly 5. And what I'm saying is save it and spread it out instead of using it in year 4 and 5, maybe
Oh,
use a
okay.
third of it the next 3 years so that you only get a two-thirds of that salary bump
Hmm.
for the, well, it would be that first year you would get 2/3. Right?
I guess I'm confused on that. Because if you're using more funds up front, you're not increasing. the
You're not
tax rate.
increasing taxes, but when that money is gone, then the full brunt falls to taxes. So that increase comes all at once. So if you could, that's
Right, that's
So
why I
you
thought
can-
if we did the first 3 years with the grant,
Right.
and then depending upon what's there, then either 1 or 2 years. If you spread it out over 2, it's easier, because then you're only gonna get half the increase.
you're only
then
gonna,
the second half.
20,000, well,
Right.
yeah.
So you
Maybe
have-
we should do it on a percentage basis though, so that the percentage goes down and the increase would be the same each.
So what Peter's saying is like in year 5, say you only have enough in the undesignated fund balance for 1 year, if you pay it totally. What he's saying is take a third of the undesignated fund balance, put it in as a salary, and then the other 2/3 is an increase in the salary line. And then the next year do that, so that by the time you're in the 3rd year, the increase isn't like,
It's only a third,
The
it's a
third of
third
it.
every year to the taxes.
right.
Does that make sense?
After the first 3 years.
After the
first
first
3
3
years,
years,
right,
yes.
after the first.
It's
year.
your idea, only
But-
spread it out so that we don't get hit with that. By the time we get to there, it's gonna be upwards of 50 grand.
Right.
So by the time we get there, that would be a 1 year jump of 50 grand is really gonna hurt your
Budget.
budget.
So the more we can spread it out, I'm for that.
I mean, we can plan it that way, and as long as we've got that money in the undesignated fund balance and we know that that's the plan and save that, that doesn't mean that you can't use that to reduce something somewhere else.
Right.
You have to be careful using undesignated fund balance to lower taxes, because in the end, you end up having to pay all of that.
Right.
So is there a limit to when those undesignated funds can be used?
No, they can set in that balance as long as they want to set there. They're there as a rainy day fund. If, say we had
Another pandemic?
well, no, say we had a cruiser blow up and we had to pay for it out of pocket.
Yeah.
That would come out of the undesignated funds. Everything over what we had in the budget would come out of the undesignated funds for that year. So it's a rainy day. It's basically a rainy day fund. On the general fund budget side of it, we save, I think it's 5% we try to keep there.
Okay.
And then we use the other to pay down bills, not necessarily, not to offset taxes, but to pay down debt,
Right.
retired debt, so that it's not an added burden on the taxpayers when that money's been spent.
Yeah. Okay. And so essentially, yeah, we're taking what Bruce is suggesting, but instead of using it for year 4 and 5, we would use the undesignated funds for maybe year 4, 5, 6, and 7, perhaps. And then that each year, it's only a slight increase in his overall budget. And by the end of that, those funds are used, and that it's an established position then. Yeah. Okay.
It's all, maybe we start out with 2/3 or.
Yeah, exactly.
Or 3/4, we pay 3/4 the first year, and the next year we pay half, and the next year we pay a quarter, and the following year it's all borne by taxes, depending on what we have for money.
Okay.
I think that would be safer than, if we pay year 4 with it, year 5, we're gonna get hit. If that makes sense.
It's also worth considering that this grand list figure is from last year, and the trend has been for the police district grand list value to increase. And with the recent construction activity in the village and projected activity in the village, the grand list figure is likely to be more favorable also.
We won't have Stony Hill until 2023, because they won't start.
And we acknowledge that Stony Hill is not in the police district. It's just outside.
Some of it,
Yeah.
The commercial buildings are outside.
right,
But residential's
residential's in.
Right.
So that should add, I'm
Something, because right now it's just vacant land.
even at half. You gotta be talking a couple $1 million worth of building there, if not more, probably more than that.
Yeah.
And a lot
Right, it
of
goes
new
to income.
residential construction.
Figured only at half, it's gonna increase the grand list by half of that.
Mhm. So that'll
And
improve the overall tax figure, presumably.
Right. And there's also the discussion to have about bringing it to townwide versus just district. Since we're looking at year 4 where this big change will come, where are we going to be at with that? Have we put that on the ballot yet to have a vote to open it up? And how does that change if that position still needs to be around in terms of 4 full-time officers?
The other thing we need to figure is our lease runs out, how many years?
2 years?
2023.
2023, so our lease is out in 2 years, so if we're gonna, townwide in a building's probably gonna be tough to swallow in 2 years'
Yeah.
time.
Well, at some point, our rent payment would be a bond payment.
Right.
So,
And that's what we always figured.
Right. So when we get close to that, that's when we have to,
Mhm.
or we should.
Yeah, we should have our own facility, so we aren't paying taxes on it. Then at some point, that rent is sunsetted.
And transitioned to a bond payment.
Right, but at some point that, 30 years down the road, that rent is sunsetted and you have that
Oh, right,
money in your budget.
right.
I'll probably be off the board by then.
I know I'll be off the board.
If I could just remind people that since 2017, 2018 budget, the police department has decreased the tax dollar amount that we've asked for.
Mhm.
So we've been very good at keeping our budget
Yeah.
where it needs to be, and we'll continue to do that.
Yeah. 14.
So one of the other changes that in the vehicle reserve fund, I increased that to 19,000 with the intention of having a third vehicle. The vehicles would continue to be replaced on a 6-year cycle, but it means every 2 years a vehicle would be replaced instead of every 3
3
or
years,
whatever.
yeah.
And they should be worth a little bit more. when
And that
we go
was
to get rid of them.
the thing, we gotta get to the point that we can save some of the wear and tear on the ones that we have.
So at 19, is that gonna give you enough in your capital budget for 2 years to
Yes,
replace the
the
vehicle?
truck costs 32.
I was gonna ask what the.
There are some other SUVs and there's also some all-wheel drive cars if we want to go a little bit less. But I would make sure that they're all-wheel or four-wheel
Right.
drive.
No, but that's just the price of the vehicle.
Some of
Then
the
you have the
equipment,
equipment.
we will
Reuse,
reuse what we
right.
can. The truck, because it was a different make,
Yeah.
different model, some of the stuff we had to buy new,
Right.
but.
But there again, you can kind of work it, so if a car is just gonna be doing patrol, it doesn't need to be able to carry the stuff.
Right.
The truck can come in and carry the stuff when it's needed, and I think you could conceivably have 2 different style vehicles and make it work.
Yeah, I was just making sure we're gonna have enough in there to cover.
We could always
The
put them on,
cost.
we could always put them on a bike.
We could do that. For the equipment,
They have a bike.
No, a
Yeah.
motorcycle.
Eric's crew has been great about helping us do work with installing the equipment to save
Mhm.
funds.
Mhm.
So,
Well, that's what you said. That's what it's all about. The departments working together to make it work for the whole town.
right.
Because you're not separate entities. You all work for the same taxpayer.
I tried to
Well,
get him to put a
almost.
plow on his truck.
I
wouldn't do
I
it.
cover the police district.
So if folks can see the screen, this is a shift over to the capital vehicle plan. And it shows that $19,000 increase and the anticipated expense every other year to replace a vehicle. And at 19,000,
Valerie, you're not showing us the capital plan. We're still on the budget.
oh, interesting. Huh. Well, that's good to know. Never mind.
Take your word for it.
Huh.
Either stop sharing this one and reshare that or something.
Yeah.
I guess I didn't realize you had to do it that way. Okay.
How long we been doing this Zoom stuff?
Do you want to see the capital plan or just move on?
I think we all understand it. I
Okay.
can tell you that there's gonna be one of us that's gonna be
Yeah,
a little more concerned than the rest of us, so
we'll just, I
we'll
mean,
leave it at that.
And we can review it,
And it's only one.
but
you don't know.
if you need time, obviously, to review, because you're just seeing it for the first time tonight, obviously, I'll.
Well, everything-
Answer more questions if I need to.
This is just preliminary anyway.
Right,
so.
yes.
And when we get it when we get it all laid out and, we've more or less blessed everything, then we'll go through, depending on what the bottom line is.
Yeah, no, it looks good.
Yeah, at the meeting today, I didn't see anything out of the ordinary. I had a few questions that Bruce answered, but I think it looks good. It's obviously great to have that grant to be able to fund that 4th officer. It was a huge, huge boost, I think, to the department for the next 3 years.
Yeah, it looks like, the way I went about going through Eric's budget was we went down through and wherever the percentage was out of kilter, we paid attention to that line. Everything that was within a couple of percent, we really didn't get too excited about. And it looks like here you don't have anything that jumps right out.
I did ask for more funds for the town contracted patrol and for the, well, our costs go up every year.
Yeah,
And the dog position thing, I think that it really needs more than $1,500 to keep us available to go handle those animal complaints. Because if you had to hire somebody, and you had somebody kind of in place for a minimal amount of money, but who wasn't able to respond because of other commitments. So we really need to be
So where did
that
you-
position.
Yeah.
It was 1,500. I'm like, I
1,500.
bumped it up to 1,000, saying, you got to give us at least that, just so we'll answer the phone to discuss the dog problem and see. if
And
we
feed
have
the
to
dog when you
respond.
get them.
Right, yes, and we have responded to more animal complaints. So, and it just, yes, costs go up every year, so we should be increasing that.
Yeah.
If you want to double it, I'm happy with that, but.
Does that number even feel adequate, Bruce? That 2,500?
With the, I don't know. I would like to say no, it's not, but because we are focused on other things and only respond when we get a call at the moment, I'm satisfied with it.
I was gonna
But
say, can you
next
keep
year I'll ask
track?
for more.
Well, that's what I was gonna say. Can you keep track on how much time and
Yeah.
it takes for you guys?
Mhm.
Because it'd be interesting to find out,
Yeah.
how much real time it takes.
Well, some of the things that we get that we don't put it in, and this is something that I've got to discuss with the officers, how we do it. Somebody called from Moncton today because their dog disappeared, is missing.
That's the one,
And
all the
because-
signs are out.
The west,
Because we're close to Bristol, they're calling us saying, hey, they're not the only ones. We've picked up a dog from Starksboro at least 3 times now. Because the dog doesn't know the boundary line and he's close enough. They come over here, we pick them up. We get a $25 fee from the person for picking up the dog, but that's not necessarily
It's
worth.
not enough to keep them, to keep it home.
So, no. But
We
anyhow,
also,
yes,
we also know today, when talking with Sharon, the number of dog licenses sold went up substantially last year. So we know that there are more dogs in the town, in the village. So
well, some of those are people finally getting around to updating it, but we still don't have everybody that had one from a few years ago. I think we're still down for dog licenses, or they just haven't upped them. So,
or they don't, they just don't.
Some don't, yeah,
Yeah.
and when we go on a complaint now, we follow up with that. Where before, if we just picked up a dog, you brought the dog and then we picked up. Now
Right.
we will
Make
actually,
sure it's vaccinated.
if we go to a noise disturbance and we see somebody's dog running around, we'll ask them if their dog is licensed. If they have a license, they need to update that. So there's some proactive stuff that we're doing that we're not necessarily tracking right.
okay, I thought it was just everybody getting a dog during COVID. So that's good to know. It's from your work.
Sharon, do we do a survey? I thought at one point they used to do a survey as to whether people had dogs or not, or reach out. I know we tell them they have to be licensed by April, but
1st.
Yeah, and we sent out notices of ones who we had licensed last year and they didn't license this year. They don't all come in and license. I do know Addison County Community Trust has been cracking down on the people that live in the parks to make sure their dogs are licensed. So we've picked up some of those. But, other than that, I don't go out and find the dogs and say, you gotta
no,
license them. So, we have people that do it religiously, and then you have others that never do it unless their dog gets out and gets caught.
Right, and sometimes they don't do it because they don't want to go get the rabies.
right, and that's.
Yeah, they
we
don't
used
want
to
to pay it.
A rabies clinic here, which a lot of people would come to, and the past 2 years they haven't done that, so.
Yeah, I suppose if we held a rabies clinic, we could
As they come in the
I
door,
wonder-
come
yeah,
out the door.
Well, I wonder if that's something that the rec department, if that could be a revenue stream for them, or is that totally, Darla, you'd have an idea.
Yeah, we used to do that with Penny when Penny was here. Like she would do licenses and she would arrange for a clinic to happen and we helped out with it. It wasn't, it didn't, but the money didn't come to us. We just, Penny asked for some extra hands and we were there.
And the money, I think, went to the Bristol Animal Hospital because they're the ones that are doing it.
I think
And I
so.
think the last 2 years, they didn't want to do it, so.
Right, they didn't want to do it because of COVID. I mean, I know for sure the first year it got canceled because of that, 'cause it was scheduled, if I remember right.
So maybe that's something, maybe we can reach out and see if we can find somebody who's willing to come and, even if it was a traveling vet that was willing
I
to
was
give
gonna say, I
up.
wonder if like Randy
Yeah.
Ross might
I
be.
think he's willing to give up.
I don't think, no, well, give up a day of
Right.
traveling
Right.
to do a clinic.
Well, we just did it in the
Yeah.
evening. It was a couple hours in the evening. It was one night that's how it used to happen anyway. They brought all their, and it was usually the dogs that didn't travel well, let's put it that way. It often came.
Anything else for Bruce?
No, I do want to ask, I see the signs are now turning amber at 25.
I'm anticipating at some point we have a 25-mile-an-hour speed
I
limit,
figured
so
that.
this is just a friendly reminder or suggestion that 25 is preferred over 30.
Now, can you put in there, I just see you've got the one here that says welcome to Bristol. If they go over 30, can you say, whoa, slow down?
It says slow down on the
No,
north
the word
end.
whoa in there.
We can put different messages. We're still learning the software
Software.
that's associated with it.
You should put, you idiot, the cops at the Creamy stand.
That's right.
Well, I thought about putting one cops ahead, something like that, but,
Just something
one
to get
on
them to
East-
pay attention, you
yeah,
know?
East Street and West Street are the same model.
Yeah.
The one on North Street is different.
It's older.
It's older and we're having some connectivity issues with North Street,
Well, time to upgrade already.
so.
Hmm.
Well, it still works. I mean, it's still,
Oh, yeah, it does.
it gets your attention.
But we'd like to change that, so a different color or a different message
Yeah.
and just.
I know when you come in at 75, it just says too
Yeah.
fast, slow down. It doesn't tell you how fast you're going. So,
That little blue light?
Yeah.
Smile away.
So you're told, right, Peter? So you're told.
Oh, it knows how fast I'm going, I'm
I know.
sure.
It's on your trucks, your vehicles, they're so bright. We came in the other day and they had somebody pulled over at Martin's and I'm going, oh my God, they're so bright. You could see them everywhere. It's like, yep, slow it down.
Any more questions for Bruce? I don't see anything there that's
Concerning.
scary. That's a good thing.
Yep,
Thank you.
cool. Thank
you.
you, Bruce.
Oh, Public Works, Eric. Come on.
Well, this one doesn't take that long.
Well, we came up with a couple of questions for you, so,
For who?
for the rest of the board.
The answer is no.
Maybe, maybe not.
Now, one thing I noticed, the revenues were not filled in. Should just,
Did you forget that part?
I don't know what I are. I could put in a fictitious number with no problem.
Let's just stop it.
or just go with last year's.
Yeah, that's probably pretty safe, I would say.
Well, you got 125 in 2020, 2021, how come?
For. Yeah, okay.
Whoops.
Whoa.
I have a
For
touch.
the water department, to be honest with you, Valerie, I would probably take that 1,000 out. For the revenue.
Yeah.
Just for the simple reason, the last couple of years, we've been doing less and less. And if we do some, then great, but this way here, we're not anticipating it. He's been doing more of his own stuff than we only do the big digs. So it's not, it hasn't been that often lately.
There should be anything in the road, he should be asking you first if you're available.
Yeah, he does. And then if we got the machine out, then he usually does it with his.
Yeah, right.
but-
So how do you want to just go down, or how do you want to do it?
So we went down through and took, like I said, we went down through and took the big numbers to see where the change was, and a couple of them, they were big numbers because we've already discussed the salaries, right?
Correct, and this budget does not reflect what we discussed. This is a straight change from last year.
The health insurance went down by that much. Is that because of the premium or is that because somebody changed plans?
Change plans from family or double to single.
Okay.
Now, if you want, I can stop the share and plug those in quickly, and you can see what it looks like based on what we talked about, or just kind of wait on that and look at the other figures.
Well, I think we're aware of where those are, so they can be
Okay.
plugged in, and
They what?
they can be plugged in afterwards. I don't,
Afterwards. Okay,
I mean, it's basically, those numbers are what they are for the time being.
okay,
You know, once the real numbers are plugged in there, they are what they are. They're not, if we're set on what we discussed for money.
right.
I know that's never the case, but it's a starting point.
Yep.
So if we go down through and hit the big ones, everything stayed pretty much the same as 25% there. That is
Oh, it went by $1,000 though.
yeah,
Oh, no.
500.
Went up
Profession,
500.
what does that say? Purchase tools?
Yeah,
Yeah,
Okay, 2,500, yeah. I was looking at the next one down. Contracted repairs.
yeah, contracted.
I went
This
up
stuff
with
is
the-
getting more and more sophisticated, and it's not
Yeah,
as easy.
well, with just two repairs I did, one on the loader and one on the international tandem, that right there alone was $9,000.
So is 11 grand gonna be enough?
Yeah, I hope so.
Well, hopefully with the new vehicles, there'll be fewer problems.
Yeah, the radiator went in the newest truck we've got. Well,
Yeah,
not the newest
Not
truck,
the second newest truck, the radiator went,
rotted out. It
yeah.
it didn't get something through it, or we were anticipating it
Really? How old is that truck?
19.
3 years. We were anticipating that maybe a stone or something got in there and broke the flue, and it turns out that it was rotten.
Wow. Probably not under warranty anymore.
No,
Chloride and stuff?
yeah, probably salt and chloride.
What
And
about
then-
12? What about 12 for that then instead of 11?
Eric's not gonna complain.
Well, I'm not gonna complain, but realistically, another grand doesn't really get you a lot when the vendors are 150 to, well, $130 an hour.
Yeah, but at least 12 is better than 11 if you go over, you're only.
Right, no,
You're
no,
looking
I
for less
understand.
money for somewhere else.
Right, I understand that. I'm just saying, because of, labor costs for
Right.
the dealers and the parts.
But if it's not, if it's not warranty, we've got 2 decent heavy truck shops in town now.
Yeah, you got Sean and,
And Bristol Diesel or Vermont Diesel or whatever they are there, Caleb. And
yeah, okay.
so I think the rate is probably about half what
Oh, that's good to know. Okay,
and they can do they can do everything. I mean, the only thing you want to make sure is it's not warranty before you.
right. So on warranty issues, the best warranty that we've got right now is on the newest International, which is pretty much a bumper to bumper warranty on it for
5 or 7.
5, I think. So we've been, which is good, when we buy a vehicle now, we've been adding the warranties to them. cost a little bit more in the beginning, but hopefully by doing that, it helps to offset if we need to do some repairs.
So heating fuel, that's just the propane. We worked out, he had raised the, heating fuel in the east garage. Is that, which, did we get
Yeah,
those
that's
backwards?
East
West garage is the one you wanted to,
Um,
or did we decide to leave that? No, you got 3 there. That one burns the waste oil, correct?
yes, that one burns the waste oil, which we are burning right now.
And we have access to more waste oil, so we were thinking we could level fund that one.
Yep, unless we had
I
to
guess-
change it.
Which
thought
one
we'd
burns
changed
the waste oil?
Yeah, the 3,500 can go back to 3 for the east garage. I got that right?
Yep, yeah, because that's the heating fuel. You can actually, let's see. Last time we budgeted 3, we spent 1,000.
No.
So we haven't spent anything to date as far as that number up there right now.
You want to go to 2?
I was thinking dropping it maybe down to 2,500. Because price of fuel has gone up, so that way in case we do have to buy some.
And we've got a contract for LP,
Mhm.
so that one should be, he increased it by 5%, so that one should be okay. So we're way down to the next, materials next. Everything there is level funded.
You don't think your sand prices are gonna go up? You don't think they're gonna go up? Salt and sand.
Salt actually has been fairly steady. I mean, it's 73 right now a ton. I think last year was 71. So it's not a big increase. Sand, they went up 50 cents a yard this year.
Okay.
Or I mean, last year, but so not a huge increase there. So I'm thinking them should be fine. And I did up the salt a little bit anyways by $5,000.
Mhm.
So that, if you want to put that in perspective, that $5,000 gets you 3 loads.
And what do you spread for a 1 pass storm,
For everything.
everything?
Let's see.
A load?
No, not quite a tandem load for 1 round. Probably 3/4 of a tandem load for 1 round.
Eric, that also, does that number also include what we get paid back for from Mount Aid for the salt we get for them?
Correct. So everything that goes or I spend in that salt line, some of that gets reimbursed back when Mat Aid pays us back. But I pay it initially and then Mat Aid reimburses.
So where does the reimbursement go into? What?
Back into your salt
Income?
line,
Does
or?
it come
Goes
back?
into according to Jen, when she was doing it, she said it goes into the revenue side. It doesn't
That's what I was
actually
gonna
go
say, does
back
it go into the
into,
revenue
yeah,
side?
yeah.
So does it, where is that going up above?
I don't know. She never told me. She just said it goes, like she says, I can't put it back in the salt line. It has to go into the revenue side. I said, all
Which
right,
makes
well.
sense.
But we do get reimbursed for some of the salt.
Okay.
Right now, I think they owe us 3 loads.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
gotta do an invoice when I can get a chance on Anthony's computer. 'Cause that's
Okay.
where the software is.
All right,
So there's your $5,000 right there.
yep.
Mhm.
Chloride,
Yep, chloride.
it was over this year, so it's where the green box is there.
Yeah, okay, so chloride, I put it back up to 22, because as of right now, technically, I don't have any money, so to speak, in that line to spread chloride this early summer. Because we had a dry summer last year and we spread a lot of chloride. So I'm out. Well,
Yeah, it's gonna have to come from somewhere, some other
Some
line.
other line item, so to offset it. So that's why I put it back up to 22 again.
It wouldn't come out, it wouldn't necessarily come out of another line item. It's just that this one would get overspent if needed
Correct.
and.
Yeah.
The
Some
money
other-
will come from one that was underspent,
Right.
I
Right,
guess is a
right.
fair way to put it.
In the end, in the bottom line. Yeah, just wanted to be clear about that.
What's the line 63, the repaving? It's got 0. Can we just delete that if it's not needed?
Repaving went to the, all got put to,
Capital.
yeah, we got a capital
Okay.
paving now.
Yeah.
Great.
And it would just, we try to show a 3-year record so that we know, you know, so we got something to compare to, so.
That line will get, they'll be
Yeah.
there for next year.
Mhm.
Coal
Next,
patch, culverts. Culverts, we had a question on. Some of that added culvert money is due to the Munsell Avenue project, right?
Mhm.
Wondering if we want to put that in there because it's a specific project, or if we want to bump up the capital roads and know that money is going to come out of there as opposed to having a 1-year bump and then going back down.
So then
I
you
mean,
would
it
have
makes-
that, then you would have that in there for another project for the following year?
We would have it in there. If we put it in there and for some reason it doesn't get spent, it goes away.
Mhm.
Whereas if we put that increase in the, you know, we put that $2,000 in the capital, or it's only $1,000. If we put that in the capital budget, then it would be there.
So
And
you're
it's a
saying
question for the board.
Are you saying just the extra for the Munsell Avenue? You're talking culverts in general?
Well, that's culverts in general, but the reason the line went up is because he
Right.
needs extra culverts for that project.
Partially
Right.
to do with that and partially because the prices are increasing.
Now, my question was, you're asking to put culverts entirely into the capital road?
No,
No,
Or
no.
just the money,
Just
just
the
the money for that?
Just
for
that,
Munsell Avenue?
just the difference
Different,
there.
okay.
Okay. Thank you.
And that was a question that we wanted to ask of the board. And I think you're on the wrong line.
She's on,
No, she's
no,
on
she's on
culverts.
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 No, you're on the
No,
right
you're there.
line. You're right.
So signs is, you're looking at the.
Oh,
signs.
signs, okay, yeah. And signs was, he's buying more signs and there again, in anticipation of a speed limit change is gonna require more signs or new signs.
That, and it's.
And there,
And street signs, you know, new roads or new developments go in, you gotta buy a sign, because there's no ordinance right now that says. The developer has to buy the sign. So I've been buying them out of my line item for street names.
Well, maybe there should be a discussion with the zoning.
Yeah, I
And
mean,
the
that would be a
planning
good thing to
commission.
add to them, that would be part of the permit or whatever.
anything over 2 houses would have to purchase a road
Purchase a
sign
road
right.
sign, yeah.
with their curb cut.
Yep,
Mhm.
Mhm.
and right now it doesn't, so I've been doing that out of my sign budget as
Yeah.
part of them.
Cause I would, when they put the development up, oh, it had to be 3 houses before it could get a road name.
It probably is 3, 2 or more.
Yeah, 2 or more.
Tree work went up a little bit, just basically because of labor costs. And there's a lot more trees that need to be taken care of.
Yeah, that one there is, that's the difference, in the cost to do the striping for the traffic calming that we discussed with, Jessica.
Yeah. Mhm.
So we need to decide if we're gonna keep that in there or not. If we're looking on doing those, if we're looking at taking those, traffic calming measures, they're probably gonna have to be repainted every year.
So that would be the repainting. It wouldn't be the initial painting, correct?
It would be both.
Both.
It's gonna cost the
Oh.
same. That extra cost, that extra,
It's about $5,200, $5,300 to have them do it. To have them do it with a truck.
I thought we couldn't do it because we didn't have the right equipment.
No, I can't do it. This is to have a truck come in and spray it.
that's
Oh,
a.
okay.
Contractor.
Contract, okay.
I mean, it's pavement markings, it could go under contracted services, it could, but I think there, we know what it is.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And it's a specific type of contract. You can isolate it.
Yeah, it's a big jump, but it's a new thing that we're looking at doing, so I'm fine with that.
Mhm.
I think that was pretty much it.
Should we be doing more guardrail installation?
Yeah,
I've got them coming. They don't know when they're gonna be here. I've called them. And, I haven't done it in the last couple of years,
Yeah.
just for the reason of, but I budget and haven't had time to really to schedule them in.
So you could conceivably get in $10,000 worth of guardrail this season if you got 5 in prior to July 1st and 5.
If they could come in before July 1st, I could do 5, and then if after July, I could do another 5. If they wanted to spread it out and give me a better price and do it, close to June, and if they're willing to split the bill, I get a better price per foot.
Well, the more money, it's like anything, the more money you spend, the better price you're gonna, well, hopefully the better price
Right.
you're gonna get. I mean, it's a whole lot more economical for them to come in for $10,000 worth of work than it is for them to come in for 5. There's only one setup for this.
To move in. Storm drains went up, and that was also to do with, Munsell.
Munsell, and the other reason that went up is, maintenance on the catch basins.
Yep. We're gonna have to-
They're supposed to be backed out and cleaned. The sumps in them is supposed to be backed out and cleaned, and we have them, now we have new ones from Mountain Street School down through
Yep.
to here, and we have, what do we got? Are these all dry wells here
Where?
on
On East Street.
East Street?
Mhm.
There's
But he
no-
can still suck them out too. He just takes his pressurized, wand, sprays them, and then sucks at the same time, so he can clean off the whole top of the stones and everything down there. And theoretically, if you do that,
It's gonna last way
it
longer.
will last a lot longer. And contractor services went up because we're getting to the threshold now where we gotta have 15% of our high priority hydrologically connected segments up to standards. And I think that's 2025. And we've been doing a lot more contracted services with, like, for instance, Heffernan's and Masterson's. Well, we.
802.
802, while we
Not
do,
Heffernan.
right, 802 excavation, while we keep doing our normal work. I hire them to come in to do some of the ditching and the stoning. So that's why that went up.
That's pretty much
That's pretty
it.
much it, yeah.
So a total
1.4.
of 1.4
Salary.
without the salaries for the actual. 1.6. What's in there? Oh, that's all the revenue. and-
Right. That's all.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then I had him do a revised sheet. Do you have the revised capital improvement or the
equipment.
capital equipment plan?
I see that Sharon emailed it just a short time ago. Let me open it. Hang on here.
I bent the frame on my glasses. I can't get the damn thing still on it, right?
Okay, let's see if this works. How's that?
Yep, that would be it.
Can you see it okay?
Yep.
Okay.
So it looks like the number, you got numbers from,
So the 70 I called for this coming year to replace the pickup. I called down to G-Stones, talked with Jason. And the 70 is a good number for a total truck, body, plow,
new.
new. The way prices are going right now for used, I don't mind it being used. I just don't know if it's cost effective because used prices are so high right now.
So is that a single cab, double cab?
Extended cab, 350 to 450 range
With a,
flatbed dump, slide on sander and a V plow. It may change depending on the equipment package that we go with. On the loader, the next column over, I called Tim Pudvar. He says the 175 is a good number.
did he, the trade-in resale, did he?
He's saying about 20.
Okay. I think our real resale prices on those are a little low, but I'd rather have them a little low and end up with more money in the fund. I was looking through a couple of magazines this weekend and, 20-year-old loader is selling for 30 grand. So somewhere between 30 and 10 is what we're gonna get for ours. And then the excavator, did you?
I didn't call anybody on the excavator. I think we can bump that out, but I don't know if you want to, just how things are running. So if we bump it out a couple of years, let's just say a couple of years, then you're gonna line that up with the same time if we did the Kubota. And I just plugged the Kubota in there. It's not designated, doesn't have to be there. I just plugged it in then because that right there will make it 13 years old.
And we've had a fair amount of trouble with that in the last couple of years.
Yeah, we've had a lot of troubles with it. Well, it's up to you guys or the equipment committee, whichever.
And where did that number, that
37, I called Champlain Valley Equipment and they did not have a B, like the same size that we have. They have one comparable. And he said about 36,000. So I just went up a little bit more with it to 37. But that's doing the same style tractor that we have. If we wanted to switch and try something different or go a different route, that number may be low. And then the Freightliner, the next column over, I called Sandy. And right now he's pricing one out complete for 171. So I put in 190, being that it's,
now
5 years out.
When Pete bought that, his idea was we'd go stainless steel and reuse the body. That's not
happening.
okay.
That body, I'm not impressed with that body. It's my opinion, just my opinion, it's a piece of junk. It's too light, it bends, the tailgate, we can't seal it tight. And we lose salt every time we lift the side dump up.
We've had problems with it from day one.
Yeah, so I'd rather go back to a regular steel body. It'd be a little cheaper than stainless, so I'm thinking the 190 will be good. And then of course, the year after that is the International HX. And
So I just had him rework this so that we had it. Because we stopped after next year. And that was well, you didn't change, no, we stopped after the Mac.
Mac was the last one. And another further note on the Ford, on that one there. Jason said right now, if I ordered it now, I wouldn't see that truck until probably after July, if we ordered it. And I know this is ways out, so we don't have to worry about it, but right now with Mac, they're a year and a half out right now if you order a truck.
Yeah.
And they're not, all the dealerships are similar.
Yep. So just food for thought.
Do
But
we,
if we have a plan and we know we're getting rid of that truck in 2020, 25, 26, we probably can order it the beginning of 25, so it's here.
Right.
do we know the actual balance of the account? I do have a figure, but it's different than this and,
Different than the 24,
correct. Let me just,
I guess we don't.
okay, let's see here. I just got it the other day.
Has Peter moved this year's appropriations for capital in yet? Because last I
No.
knew he hadn't.
No, so the numbers I have do not have this year's contribution. So that's an interesting point. Well, actually, that would be this year's contribution. So, let me see it in the list. Let's see. Capital Highway Equipment Fund.
Yeah, see, that closing balance is all messed
Well,
up.
you're putting in 2021, 2022. This is next year's.
Oh, that's right. Okay, never mind.
So we took that column out.
Got it. Got it. Okay, you're right. Thank you. Never mind then.
So that balance is probably
Close.
accurate.
We'll see.
It's fairly accurate, because I know we had spent that down.
Mhm. Okay.
Anything, what else have we got? Do we want to do the capital? Highway paving, and we didn't look at that.
I haven't got any figures for that at all for this year. Mike hasn't come around yet. He should be coming.
Well, they're capital funds, so it's not.
Oh, okay. I can tell you what I'd like to pave.
Well, that isn't, that,
Val, you're muted.
Yep, yep. We don't have any figures or any particular plan for the other funds yet.
okay, so we don't, do you have those where we can look at them, what they were last year, just so we got a
Only in the
sense?
town report.
Okay. All right, well, we don't need to discuss that tonight. I mean, it's three funds, or four funds.
Yeah, we'll try to have.
Sidewalks, paving, highway. Is
Right.
there another one? Equipment, well, the equipment we looked at,
Mm-hmm.
and it looks like the numbers there work. Although the closing balance doesn't. Yeah, something's off with
Because I noticed this
yeah, well,
didn't change.
this year should be,
70 less.
Well, no, it should be a lot less than that, because this is only one,
Right.
what, 30, 50, 160.
What are you looking at?
Oh, that's what happened. Okay, never mind. So what happened is this should be a negative. And it's
Oh, and
a
it added
positive.
it to it.
Added it.
So if you go back to the capital highway capital equipment plan, there should be a minus sign in front of the 70 under
That
the
should change
4.
your figures.
And that, because that's gonna change the figures all the way across the board. There we go.
Yeah.
That looks a little better. Doesn't look better, but it looks more accurate.
Yeah,
I wondered why those numbers weren't. So it looks like if we stay with the 135, we should be in halfway decent shape there.
looks good.
Yeah.
So then we just had the other 3 funds: sidewalks,
Right.
paving, sidewalk paving, and roads, capital roads.
Yep. And if you recall last year or the year before, I did have a group of spreadsheets that brought all of these funds together so that we could look at the big picture, including debt and the actual allocations or the planned appropriations. So I'll have that together based upon all this information so far. I'll have that together for next week.
Okay. And we can start by carrying the same numbers last year.
Sounds
We don't want to go down. We don't want to go, I'm assuming we don't want to go down on any of those funds.
Probably not, unless there's something that we think we can get away for 1 year, taking a break or lowering an allocation and putting it somewhere else. But that, we need to see the big picture in order to be able to decide that.
Yeah, and we may be able, we don't know, we have no idea where we're at as far as
Right.
unanticipated funds or, what do we want to call
Yep.
Designate.
them? Undesignated funds.
Mhm. Are we done with this one?
I believe
Yeah.
we are, unless Eric's got something else he wants to.
No.
Oh, that means you can go home.
You can keep
That,
that.
I can keep that.
Yeah, I got a copy of it. on my computer.
Make sure you put your minus sign there, so you know you've got to.
Yes.
Yeah, that all needs to change.
Change.
I don't want that.
Okay.
Just
I can take
mess
this
them
one.
up.
Yeah.
I'll give you a new copy, corrected.
Perfect. Where are we now? General fund?
So I'm all set?
Yes, you
Yeah.
are.
You folks have the stamina?
Some stamina?
Yeah, do you have the
Why,
stamina to keep going?
Can we just pick a section?
Thanks, Eric. Thanks, Bruce.
Good night, guys.
Good night.
Can we just pick one section and go over?
Oh, well, yeah, it is grouped. You can
We
decide.
can either do that, or we can go down through and do
The rest of the stuff.
the rest of the stuff and see where we're at.
Uh,
I'll go get it.
hang on here.
I can put this in my computer and change it, unless you, will that reflect on mine over there?
Oh, Sharon's. Sharon, you need to mute.
I'll do it. Hang on.
Got
I
it,
already
got
did.
it.
Yeah.
All set, we got you.
Ian has.
But
We shut you off.
Yeah, mute.
Okay.
Sharon printed off a corrected copy.
Thank you, Sharon.
You're welcome.
So what I did here was I grouped in a separate worksheet the revenues and expenses that are generally associated with the clerk treasurer's operation. So it's not all the rest of the general fund budget. So we can either use that to keep going, or if you want to do something different.
Let's just do it. Let's get it.
Yeah,
over.
let's,
me try to-
yeah.
I don't know how to, let me stop sharing for a moment and adjust the view so that I can make it more Have to stop freeze panes, unfreeze panes. Maybe now's a good time to take a bathroom break if you need to.
That was about an hour ago.
Oh,
Beyond
no.
that point. Beyond that point now.
Darla, don't fall asleep on us. This
Try
is
not to.
riveting. This is riveting stuff.
I think that'll,
I took a break and went and got a blanket. I'm cold.
oh, no.
I have a blanket on my legs.
Okay, so that's more of what I wanted to show without all the gunk on the left-hand side.
Okay.
So we can start with revenues. We are projecting some increases in revenues, partly due to the new solar project paying rent and taxes.
Right.
So that's how that works out.
So we've got those in a separate line for revenue.
Correct, because there are two separate components to their payments. One is a lease payment that's fixed, $3,000 flat fee. That was agreed, but the tax payments might fluctuate, might increase, might decrease, don't know. So we'll have to wait and see how that goes. But the 3,000 we can count on.
The taxes are based on something the state does,
Some
correct?
formula, yeah.
And that was their best guess or our best guess?
Good
Theirs, I believe.
question. Somebody probably has a better memory than me to recall that.
It was, yeah, it was their guess.
I guess, yeah.
Clerk fees reflects the activity, the real estate activity, the volume of transactions, and also the fact that the clerk fees in general were increased by state statute not too long ago. We realized that that the trend is going to slow down at some point, but
And we also have to take money out of there to go into our record restoration fund, so I don't know where that comes out of the number of recordings that we do. A certain
Right.
percentage has to go in there.
Yeah, is
So-
it like a dollar of the recording fee,
Oh, it was
Sharon?
like two.
It's a certain, yeah, it's like, depending on what it is, it's $2 or $4 of whatever. It just depends on how big the recording is.
Yeah.
So,
mhm.
So that 634 on dog licenses, that's so far this year, right?
yeah, but we'll be starting up these are ones that we've done since July 1st, and then
Okay,
we'll be doing more from now until June 30, which will
yeah, okay,
reflect in here.
Well, what
Three-
was last year was
3,000.
3,000,
Yeah.
okay.
What's
The reason I
the,
have it highlighted is because when I put in the December figures today, November's was 800 something. And so I wanted to investigate why it decreased between November and December. So, and there are a couple other lines elsewhere in the budget that did the same thing, but it's
Well, it could be because we had to make a payment to the state, because we did a bunch of payments not too long ago. Because we have to pay a portion of what we get for dog licenses to the state. It's $5 a dog.
right.
So
what do they do with,
maybe why it went down. I don't know for sure.
Sharon, what do they do with that? What's that money go towards? I
It
didn't know.
goes
I didn't know.
towards whatever, they have some kind of program to help low income, I think, with spade, neutering, whatever.
Okay.
I don't remember exactly what but we have to pay $5 a dog goes to the state. And we have to pay it quarterly.
Isn't there a special line item, a separate expense line item for that? I'm not finding.
I have no idea.
Well, maybe when we get down there,
I don't
Hey, Val,
remember
can you go-
seeing that.
Yeah, I don't,
I know I thought there was stuff for the restoration fund, but
it seems to me like we should have a separate line item for those dog license expenses.
I'll know most of those come right out of when we've paid them in the past, because there's dogs, there's marriage licenses, there's a couple other things we have to pay, and they come right out of the revenue line when we pay them.
So we don't have any idea what the expense is.
Not unless I look and see what we paid.
Huh.
Is that something we want to add? I mean, it's, you know, everything else is listed right out.
So we know what the
Since-
income is.
since
Restoration fund
since we're-
contribution.
Since we're questioning it now, I feel that if we are able to add it as a line item, it might be useful.
Mhm.
And to recognize and not let folks know that that's part of the process.
Right.
That's
Yeah.
Val, with,
not all going to the town.
right, exactly. Can you
Right.
go up to line 12, Val? So the national foreign payments, what happened to our payment this year? And then, or last year and this year? We only received it at one point or something?
Well, I had the same question over here.
Yeah.
So it must be.
And then it's been put back down. I'm just curious why that happened.
Well, it was 1550 then.
Yeah, because the actual in 2020 was
59.
15.9.
Yeah. So, yeah. Good catch.
All right,
Oh.
there we go.
Yeah, a little heavy on the fives.
Right, so we need to figure out what our actuals were for the last 2 years.
And where
need to
that was.
figure out
Or
what
figure
we-
out,
Money and where it was put.
Right,
Oh, yeah, it could have been booked somewhere else.
Yeah.
They're coded wrong.
Yeah.
Right.
yeah,
So, yeah. What line is 15 grand over?
maybe, hey Val, maybe make a note in your notes column there regarding that.
Where is the payment?
Where this, question mark.
Where is this? Where is this money?
Anthony can add that to his list that we gave him this morning. There were several of those.
Yeah. All right. Anything else? That was a good catch.
So vehicle registration, you bump that down just because that's the trend we're seeing.
Yes, we haven't been getting a lot of registrations.
Yeah,
Well,
Well,
We
it
only
went a
get
year,
$3, so.
right,
went a year where you didn't have to register anything if you couldn't get there because DMV was closed.
So you could do it
People-
online.
People were running vehicles that they hadn't run in years.
32 minus 82, what happened with the library?
Before they were also taking health insurance.
Oh, and they're not now,
Yeah.
interesting.
Parking permit fees, apparently we're not having too many people buy those either. Are those the ones for behind the park, Sharon?
Main
The
Street,
parking-
yeah.
Main
The
Street.
parking permits, yeah, we've only sold 6 this year. So
You
they're
know-
only $25 a pop, so we've only done $150 worth.
We towed their vehicles a couple times because they were parked where they weren't supposed to be. They all be coming and
Yeah.
buying a permit.
They
That
don't
was my
seem to
question.
care.
Yeah. That was my question. Where are they parking?
Well, we haven't had,
Backyard.
We haven't had that
I
much.
don't
snow.
think we've had the snow where they've had to move. I
Yeah.
think the light's only been on once or twice.
Yeah. So this obviously has to be looked into, both of these, where the FEMA money really needs to go.
Yeah. Okay,
I think those are separate codes altogether.
Mhm.
So just general expenses. Let's see.
Computer
How
down.
comes the computer down?
Looking at past expenses.
well, do we have,
There is
do
a-
we have an upgrade plan for computers for everyone?
Well, we do have the
is-
capital technology fund.
Right.
Oh, yeah,
So is
Calling it a
that what
capital
this line item, is that what this line item is for?
No, I think it's for Dominion Tech and it's only for like Valerie, or because the clerk has their Dominion Tech fees going there, so does Lister, so does zoning. So this is just a portion of,
Okay,
I think it's
Service
mostly
fee.
Dominion Tech.
okay.
But why the 40% drop? I mean, is that based on that?
Isn't it like three something a month?
No, Dominion Tech's 500 something a month, and then you have Office 365 on top of it. But
That's the one I'm
it's
thinking.
between the different departments that are part of Office 365.
But isn't each license 365?
No, Office 365 is only $12.50 a license.
Oh, okay.
The Dominion Tech plan is $528 a month. And we
For
split that
everybody.
between the departments.
So that's divided out.
Yeah, but why did it?
Because that line item. they didn't
I'd have to
change.
actually look and see what went into that line item and whose went into that line item. It's not my
Yeah.
line item. My line item is down in the clerk treasurer.
Right.
I think that's
Mhm.
where Valerie's goes, and she only has one license, and I don't know. I'd have to look at it.
Yeah,
Okay,
Look at
so
that, we're
what-
doing well with salaries there. They're down 100%.
I know, and I'm looking at why, because I don't know what happened between now and this afternoon, but it's referred.
Well, I know Sharon's a sweetheart. Maybe she just decided to donate everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, keep dreaming, Peeker.
Let's look, can you look back and see the review of it to see why those number columns changed?
Well, this is
The
the file we were
versioning.
working from.
Okay.
But
You've got numbers to plug in there.
yes, and it reflects what we talked about earlier.
Yeah.
So I can't explain why they're zeros now, but because something in the referring file name must have gotten changed or different location or something.
Hmm.
All right, let's figure that out.
It's this cloud
Um,
sharing thing that might be throwing it off.
So for line 57, let's figure out what that is and name that appropriately. 78 is software and programming. We've got Dominion Tech, but I want a better descriptor instead of computer. I think we should either make that software and programming if it is Dominion, or if it's something else. Let's name it a little bit better than that.
Yeah, I'm still curious as to why the 40%.
Well, we did.
I mean,
spend it.
I would bump it back to
We're
the 20
spending
to the 25.
1,500. It went from
Yeah.
25 to 50. Got it.
Yeah.
Got it. Okay. I can live with that.
Are we bumping it up?
No,
Well,
no,
let's figure out what it is. And if
Okay.
it is Dominion Tech, we have a definite number for that, and we can see if that matches what it needs to be.
Sounds good. All right.
And those numbers you'll fill in.
I will, and I can do it momentarily, but I would want to stop sharing the screen. If you'd rather, I fill them in now.
I know we're not gonna get to the bottom line tonight, so I don't think,
Okay. Ah, what the heck? I didn't even do anything. Boy, something's going wacky. Did you just see that change all by itself?
what changed?
Where it says reference.
Oh,
Right here. My cursor wasn't even near there.
what's that little blue thing that's,
That's just the same, that's the guest contributor.
oh,
That's Val.
Huh. I don't know. Sorry about that.
No, I mean, and this is part of this is what we discussed previously in terms of just looking at new ways of being able to do this. I think I think it's just, we're getting better in terms of sharing it via the cloud where we all have access and we can have access to the actual one. But I think, moving forward, we need to look at other ways that we can do this where we don't have issues like this, because the same thing happened last year. And, we'd hopefully like to improve it.
Take this out just to get rid of it.
So Val, on line 78, are we then into, that says Dominion Tech Nemrick share. So is that part of the Dominion Tech that we were just talking about above?
Yeah, this is the
Yes,
clerk.
but it's under the clerk treasurer's office.
Right.
Oh, okay.
For now.
So
Okay.
remember what category you're in.
Yep, okay,
So we just need to make sure that up above, that's what it is.
right, yep, okay.
And that was that postage, equipment. What's the,
Microfilming they took out because now it's in, that's the money that goes from the recording fees for
okay.
saving.
Ian, going back to your point about technology, after we had our meeting today with Darla and Sharon, I noticed that in my directory for this file, there was a red X next to it for whatever reason. So maybe that's contributing to this problem, that there's something disconnected in the cloud between this file and the files that it's referring to.
Right.
So have to look into that, why that happened and how to avoid it.
I'll get on that and give you an answer tomorrow.
How come our audit fees are at 0 for 2022, 2023?
What's zero?
Line 89.
Well, that's weird because it was $18,000 this afternoon.
Yeah, there was a number there this
There was a
afternoon.
number there.
It's those gremlins again. The treasurer's office was having all kinds of computer troubles today. Yeah, so that's a nice area where we'll see a decrease. And this is increased because there are going to be 3 elections next year. Did I say decrease? I meant increase.
No, you said increase.
Okay, good.
Yep.
Yeah. That goes away because it's goes into the salary of the treasurer.
Right. And this line was decreased because the minutes taking is now in-house. And so that came out of this line item. We don't know what an actual figure would be if we were to assign one, but that's what we came up with.
No.
And the dog officer increase reflects the presentation in the police department budget. We increased streetlights by a little bit to anticipate the Stony Hill Firehouse Drive coming online. Actually, it's already online. So yeah.
It is. They're all LEDs, so it should be fairly efficient.
Yeah.
Does that, police responses to the town? Didn't he change the contracted traffic?
Then he's
Yeah.
gonna do the town traffic control contract that he was up to. Next one up, Val.
Yeah.
Isn't that up to 15?
Right. Do you remember, do you have that figure? Let's see,
I
actually.
think it's 15 in Bruce's.
Where did I just go?
Line 122. No,
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 up one.
wrong one. Go up one.
One more.
Up. There you go. Whoa.
Got
And
it.
that 4,000, that's for responses where he's called,
Right,
correct?
that is-
Okay. Good catch.
No, are you lowering that? Is he lowering that? Because
Since
it
we were looking at the prior years.
Oh, okay.
They were all below. And here,
Okay,
this isn't even close to 50%.
all right.
If it gets overspent, well, we'll deal. So
I
here,
think he actually had it less when we
Problem.
talked him into bringing it back up.
did you want to bring it back up?
No, I said, I think it was even less, wasn't it? And we talked to him
Oh.
about bringing it back up.
Oh,
Hey, Val,
yeah.
looking at the, your master general fund budget, which has everything, that has all the figures in that are missing on your adapted one. Do you want to look
Right.
at that instead?
We could, this is a more consolidated spreadsheet.
But if it doesn't have the right figures or any figures at all, does it make sense to even look at this? And spend time plugging stuff in that's already plugged into the other one?
We're almost done with this anyway.
Right, so
Okay.
it's really just the administrative assistant and the dues and taxes. So let me get out of this. And find the sections. Listing, Clerk Trevor, let's see. Because this is a much larger file, and so you'll get dizzy going around.
But if you can, but if you can get to the sections that we're looking at and it has the numbers in, then
It'll just take a lot of scrolling. So there are the salaries that
And they're not adjusted yet.
those are adjusted.
Those are adjusted
Correct.
with the numbers we looked at earlier.
Correct. So that's an 18.8% increase there. And so, and also these are, I think they're in the same order, just more of it. Public safety. So this, we just upped this to 15, is that right?
Yeah,
Did we make any other changes to the other thing?
There was something up above. I don't remember what it was.
No,
Oh, the numbers still aren't there.
no, they are there.
this one is right.
Oh, yeah,
The
there.
administrative assistant changed significantly. I forget exactly why. Sharon, what changed that this went down so much? It's only Gal. This only reflects Gal's.
That's only Gail, yeah. And we want to put in a line up under clerk treasurer for the assistant, so we can track the assistant treasurer and the assistant clerks separate from the mine and Anthony's salaries. So we know what we have where.
Well, actually, apparently there is a line already, but
There is, but it hasn't been used in quite a few years. We don't know why, but we'd like to start using it so we can track what we're paying for assistants.
just the assistant clerk or both the
It's
assistant?
both assistant clerk and assistant treasurer.
The two lines?
No, just one,
Assistant
because our
clerk.
salaries are together. The salary on the first line is for
Right.
myself and Anthony.
We'll have to change the, if you recall, I don't want to show it here, but the second page of the personnel sheet where the different percentages are broken out, we'll have to rejigger that because they're consolidated there.
Yeah, 'cause the
Consolidated
clerk
in
and the
that.
tr-
Right.
Personnel spreadsheet,
Um,
compensation spreadsheet. So we're town officers. I think public safety, we upped that.
Oh,
The only other
dog.
change, Peter, you said another change. It was just that missing audit fees, which is in here in this one.
Yeah, good. Public safety, we got that. Administrative assistant. Tax, I don't know that we dealt with tax anticipation interest, dues, taxes. That didn't change. I think that was it.
As a county regional planning, is that staying the same? You just.
No, that, let's see.
Went down?
This reflects their current allocation.
Okay. Okay.
I know, it went down.
Do we know what the county tax is yet?
We do.
Is that gonna be accurate?
There.
They actually tell us that?
Yeah, because, well, I sent them a nasty gram last year because we were so late. I think we even after the budget was done, they sent it to us. It's like, so.
Not acceptable.
So, yeah, this doesn't show everything right now, but we'll see how it works out.
Okay,
Questions on this stuff?
done for tonight.
That works
For
for
this
me.
one.
Yeah.
Okay.
We'll finish out the rest of the agenda.
Just a quick note, January 14th is the final meeting for the county budget. So that number could change or it could stay the same.
Oh, interesting.
Okay.
Okay.
We'll
All
get-
right, we ready to move on? Review of preliminary draft of town meeting and police district warnings.
So the main thing is, when I was thinking about this, I was thinking that it was possible to have a hybrid town meeting, but Sharon's provided information from the Secretary of State's office that clarified that hybrid town meetings are not authorized. And I cannot, in retrospect, I understand why, and I should have thought about that. And I also hadn't been thinking that we would be in total Australian ballot lockdown again. So in terms of the draft warning, you can look at it as a preliminary Australian ballot warning because it looks like that's the direction things are likely to go. Is that
But we don't know that yet. We have to wait for the legislature
right?
to decide.
Right. So yeah, this is a bit premature on that subject, but in any case, in either case, there will still be informational meetings to be held, whether it's related to a floor vote or an all Australian ballot town meeting. So content wise, then looking at if the select board wants to tackle the question on Article 3 about the payment for the late fee.
Want to put it up, Val, because I don't have a copy of it.
Oh, sorry about that. Let me.
And the only thing, one of the things I've noticed that you had the January 26, 2021 rather than 2022 on
Oh,
that. Yeah, I remember.
let me get. I just lost my pencil. There it is. Where was that mistake?
It's in the town one, you said, was decided on January 26, 2021, it's last paragraph, I think. And it should be 2022.
Okay, yep, got it. Ah, thought I caught them all. I should do a find and switch on all the 2021s.
So you're talking about Article 3?
Yes, this is what I was talking about. If folks want to just make a decision now, or, because the state statute is 8%, we knocked it down to 6%, and voters voted on 4%.
And I think as long as Ken Weston's there, we're gonna get the same request again.
That's not the one.
Sounds good.
Uh,
Penalty? I thought it was
is
the
that,
1.5%.
oh no, he's
for
the 1.5,
interest.
he cuts in half.
I would say put it back up to 6 and they ask, we can always put it back down. They're never gonna ask you to put it up.
No,
Is it something you want to
Is-
consider?
well, I guess the question is, have times changed enough so that we're comfortable putting it back up? I mean, one of the issues is if it's too low, it takes away the incentive to pay on time.
Mhm.
But also remember, this is only the second, after the second payment. This is not a penalty if you're late with the first payment. You only get the interest.
This is the April
This is
This is
after
the
April.
April payment penalty.
15th this year, correct?
Right.
Correct.
And it's been at, it's been at 4% for how long? I'm sorry.
1 year.
Just last
1 year.
year.
I think
Okay.
2 years. This was,
2 years, I think 2, yeah, because it was 8 the first year I think I was here, and then it went to 6, and I think the last 2 it's been 4.
right, from the floor, that they've, well, actually, no, last year, I think the select board voted to keep it at 4 because of the.
4, yeah. And it was on the ballot, so they voted it.
Where are our delinquent taxes at? I mean, do we have a problem?
We have the normal ones, but I don't know what the number is.
Yeah.
Well,
I asked
that's
them.
what I mean. Do we have a lot? Do we have extras because of the pandemic? Are you seeing
I
more?
don't believe so, but Anthony and I have to look at it because I need to do another round of delinquent bills, but a lot of the same names keep popping up that are always there, so if
Well,
we
that's-
do have additional ones,
Not gonna-
Yeah,
I
I asked
mean,
the
that's-
question
Joining us
too,
at the-
Peter.
Anthony will be joining us at the meeting on the 17th.
yeah, and once we get this audit stuff all uploaded and whatnot, we'll be able to concentrate on some of these finer details.
So do you want to wait on this question?
I guess so.
Okay,
Oh, and I also changed, and it didn't get changed on here, but the 10 should be 15, which was wrong last year.
10, oh, the compensation right here?
Yes, yeah.
When did that change? I thought it was 10 and 15.
Now, it was
Okay.
15, it was wrong last year.
Oh,
Good to know.
so it's 15 and 25.
Yes. At least that's what we've been paying you.
Yeah.
No, no.
Thank you.
Can we just put in $1,000 rather than 500?
Well, we can ask for it to be changed. That's not,
Let's see.
Okay.
So
So you're not looking at the one I updated. You're just looking at one you had on your screen.
I'm
Because
looking at the one that's on the website.
12, and I added another Article 13 and pushed this down to 14. Because we
Okay,
do have another one that needs to go on here.
well, that's a question. You mean for like for an allocation appropriation?
Yeah, we have a new one.
Yeah,
And I put it on the one that you sent me the link.
yeah.
So you
Oh.
must not be looking at the link one.
Okay, I just, to save time, I just went to the the website link. The question is regarding nonprofits. You know, last year, the requirement to get signatures in person to do the petitions was waived, especially for those that had to meet the 3-year requirement. So the question that came up today is it still waived? Because there's a very short window. They only have until January 13th to submit a completed petition. So
I would say if we hadn't waived it already, it's not waived. I
Right, it's
mean,
not.
Yeah.
that
And I
was
think
a-
We did it for last year.
There was just a miscommunication with the cemetery association, and they know they need to get a signature, so they're working on it.
but
I'll tell you, as someone who's getting signatures for their petition, it's tricky this year. There aren't public events to go to. It's just a little harder to get the signatures that you need. If you don't have a meeting that you're going to that has
Right.
people that's in person, it's trickier this year.
I don't know. Habitat for Humanity was down at the dump collecting signatures from everybody going to
Yeah.
there.
Turning Point, Habitat for Humanity, Addison Allies has collected all their signatures. The only one we're waiting for is the cemetery.
Where's
So
Addison Allies?
why does the cemetery need to get signatures?
Because they increased it 3 years ago, and we waived signatures last year, so this year is their year 3. Because they increased how much they were asking for. So when you increase, you start your 3-year signature
Yeah.
cycle.
And we told them that the wave year doesn't include one of their years, so
Mhm.
they had to get there.
and the reason why the Article 12 here is highlighted is because we hadn't actually received it yet, but I anticipated it was coming.
Yeah,
Well, the only, I guess my only concern with the cemetery association is we're liable to take care of the cemeteries. And if we lose that group, taking care of that cemetery, the burden of taking care of that cemetery falls upon us.
Mhm.
they'll get their signature.
I'm sure they will. We better hope they do.
But the select board does have I think the select board has the option without
We
the,
have the ability to put, yes.
to waive it again for this year in light of the unique circumstances. Even though the legislature hasn't passed any bills that reinstate the authorization for Australian ballot town meetings. I don't know that they have to be related.
Last year when we waived it for any existing ones. We said we would not allow any new ones.
Right.
So if
That's
there's
true.
any new ones that we did that same waiver, they wouldn't be allowed to be on the ballot. Like
Right.
Addison Habitat for Humanity.
I mean, this is, it's, well. And in the past, they've decreased when we had tough times. They've decreased their ask,
Is that-
the cemetery
Cemetery.
association.
Mhm.
So it sounds like we're keeping the petition requirement in place. Okay. That settles that.
Now, who has to run again this year? Ian, are you up this year?
Ian and Darla.
Yep.
I was like, I'm thinking to myself, God, I have one more year. And I was like, oh, maybe I don't.
Don't even
But
think
they
about
only
it.
have to get 30 signatures, so.
Yeah, I'd say if people are already submitting and have gotten signatures, then I don't think we can now change it at this time to not require signatures. As much as
Right.
I'd like that, because that makes it easier for myself and Darla and other organizations, I think because people had already done it and had done the legwork, we'd had to have had announced this earlier.
Yeah, I would agree. And it never even occurred to me, except the question came up today. So the other question that is on here for discussion is whether the select board wants to add this article requiring that all appropriation requests going forward are on Australian ballot rather than from the floor.
I think there's a lot of people that would appreciate
Yeah.
that, but
We got, Jennifer's got a question. I see you've been there for a while. I've been gonna ask.
Hey there. Well, I thank you very much. I'm your possible town moderator, if in fact we have a floor meeting this year. And I'm looking at the warnings with some fresh eyes and want to bring some language suggestions to you for old tired language that's been on here for years. But jumping up to what you were just talking about, that was one of my questions, Article 13. It really wasn't specific as to whether Article 13, as it's written, will the voters require that all appropriation requests be individually listed and approved by Australian ballot? Was that intended for just fiscal year 2022 for all perpetuity? The same question.
If voters approve that article, perhaps more artfully stated, it would be for forever forward until not.
Until there was an article asking to get rid of it.
Yeah, to put it back on the floor.
Was there anything last year that didn't get approved, even though we did it
No,
that way?
everything got approved last year.
But there
It's-
were,
so-
I'm sure there were some that people voted no on.
Oh,
I'm
I'm
sure
sure
there
there was. But they all passed, so.
I mean, I'm interested in this on both sides of the fence and the idea, you know, I know that other towns do it. And it is a more democratic way. You allow more voters to vote on this, because traditionally we do it at town meeting, and there's a very small percentage of the voters there that are voting on entire appropriations for the town. At the same time, the people who attend those meetings are probably more informed than the entire voting public if you do it as Australian, because you're at the meeting, you can ask questions, you have an opportunity to discuss appropriations. Whereas if it is Australian ballot, then you don't. It's only on the day, and maybe you don't know about the appropriations and what they're for and what the organizations do. So I'm not sure about this. I would love for it to be more democratic in terms of the more people voting, but then it's more people that are perhaps uninformed about the appropriations. So you have more opportunity for those appropriations to be voted no because they don't understand. And I don't know if you can find the balance between the two.
I'll also add
It's
that,
always been that way in Virgins, and I don't know that any of them have ever failed.
Mhm,
Right.
right. But I would also add that it's easy to also sort of flood the room with your supporters if you have we've seen that happen before. So perhaps something that may or may not have passed will pass at a town meeting because there's a majority of people that can say yay on that one.
And I think you also have to remember, there's some people who won't get up and speak out against it. At a public forum town meeting where.
And if you give them the opportunity to vote no, at least they feel they've had their say.
Right, they've had their say. I mean, they may all still pass, but at least people who don't support a certain one get a chance to say, no, I don't want this.
Right. I'm just thinking of past meetings where we went from voting on each article like that, and then we lumped them all together because they just all got passed anyway. And now we're going to look at changing. And I don't disagree with this. It's just, I'm thinking of the evolution is very interesting to note.
Well, that's when John Moyer got up and said, this is the way we do it. This year, you're getting rid of an institution if you put it all. I mean, that's the other argument, is that if you go to voting it all by Australian ballot, you've taken away the hoot and holler that we're noted for.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And part of this is because it's a forced thing, town meeting, obviously, attendance has waned in the past years. I mean, I've been here 14 years, and I remember being a lot more people there when I first moved here. But at the same time, we've been forced to do it where we have to do it by Australian ballot. Ideally, you would have, if we can, have more people attend town meeting and ask questions about this, a more interested community and a more participating community of voters. And part of that could also, the town report can help. And I'm trying to work this year, I'm trying to sort of get more detail about the appropriations and what it means. Because I think the more you understand, not necessarily saying that everyone's going to read the town report, unfortunately, but at least the information will be there so you can better understand it.
And you also have to remember when in the past three years, that the school board meeting has not been there with us. So that took a lot of people who you
That's
would
true.
come, gone.
Yeah.
Right. And I'm of the belief that an evening meeting is just really hard for families, especially with young kids. I'd love to see our town meeting change to a Saturday. I know.
That's just me. I would go, but that's just me.
Yeah, so I don't know if this has to be on. I've been the one that's been the sort of most vocal. I mean, I sort of go back and forth after I talk with different people about this and how to approach it. You know, the easiest thing is to not have it on. No one but me seems to be interested in this or is asking about it. You know, so we could easily leave it off.
Off the fence, goes one way or the other, Ian.
Well, but I don't know. I mean, I'd like to engage more
I
people
can-
and the meeting allows you to do that, but if we can't have a meeting, then it doesn't. And, you know, it's possible by March that this third variant will have sort of burned through our community and it will be safer to go back. You know, there's hopes of that, but as it looks now, the potential to have an actual in-person meeting seems slim. And so it might just,
having the virtual meeting last year, you were allowed to ask questions on all these articles
Yep.
before we voted on them. And I think you made the same point last year, was if we go to have them voted, we still have them all so that we can discuss them in an open session.
yep.
And then you vote the following day. Maybe that's the best of both worlds.
Yeah, and you just try to engage as many people as you can, if it is a virtual meeting, to ask the questions, if they have questions about the appropriations, and then you vote the next day.
I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, and it might be something that if we aren't told to do it by appropriation, then we could leave this question off and we can explore it next year. If we wish, if we get back to a sort of a time where we can have meetings in person again.
Well, let's leave it in there for now and figure out what the legislature is going to do, and then we can talk.
Yeah, we could adjust it then. Okay.
Yeah.
Good.
Jennifer, do you have a language suggestion or?
For the Article 13, if we're gonna, the Australian ballot question?
Yeah.
No, I didn't write any down, but if I were to make a stab at it, will the voters require that all appropriation requests from this year forward be individually listed and approved by Australian ballot?
That's a good addition. Another one I would add is to distinguish appropriation request to like the civic and nonprofit organizations, because in the town report, a lot of the capital projects are listed under appropriations. So, to separate that.
Or social services, which is what our policy is
Yeah.
called.
Social services.
The good one. Why does Article 11 then have Turning Point Center? Wouldn't that be lumped into Article 13?
No, because they're required to get signatures. They're in their 3-year period of getting signatures, so we list them separately.
Okay. So it's not all appropriation requests. We've already delineated it by civic and nonprofit, but it would also be defined as those who are standing appropriation requests, perhaps, to signify that they have had, signature petitions for 3 years.
That's something that we did years ago. We opted to, if they had stayed the same for 3 years, that they didn't have to petition. So it's only if they changed the petitioned amount that they have to petition. It's only if they change the requested amount that they have to petition.
Right. So are we going to have those who have to petition be a separate article warned? And
They
then those who
themselves
don't
would
have
be
to
a
be
separate
petitioned?
article anyway.
What's that?
Those folks that are petitioning within that 3-year period would be a separate article anyway.
All right.
Well, they would all be separate.
Right, right. So yeah, we don't need to make
It would
that,
all be separate. It would just be the requirement to. Last year, you voted on every single article individually instead of lumping them all together like we do at the town meeting, at the
at the.
physical town meeting.
Just trying to make it clear to voters who are reading Article 13 that it's applies to what used to
All
be
the-
Article 15 through
Social
37.
services.
Yeah, well,
All-
what is it? Because, well, Turning Point Center is a social service and nonprofit, but
Oh, yeah.
why are they
But the
Article
reason
11? Why? I
not
want the
in-
voters to understand what they're voting for.
The reason they're not in the group listed up above is because they've changed the amount.
Right, so can we say that in
Any-
Article 13?
Anybody
voters?
change it? I would think that it would be the same as it is now. They wouldn't have to petition if they stayed with the same amount. If they change the amount, they have to petition. They're all gonna be separate articles anyway. It's just the need to petition is it's our requirement.
Hmm.
We waive the need to petition if you stay at the same level over 3 years. So I don't know that that has to be stated there. If somebody calls and wants to raise their allocation, they're gonna have to petition. But they're
Right,
still
so-
gonna be, they're still gonna be on that list regardless.
Right, so Peter, as a voter, if I vote yes for Article 13, the following year, I'm gonna find on my Australian ballot, Turning Point Center, because they had to do their 3-year petition along with Homeward Bound, who's been on there
Right.
forever, right? Okay,
Yes.
Yes.
thank you.
Yeah, the only reason an organization wouldn't be on is if they missed the deadline.
Yeah,
And
I
I-
think I'm
and-
understanding.
We have the power to remove them from there.
There's mud.
Sure as mud, thank you. I opened the door. Can I just shake things up a little for you? I promise not to keep you too late, okay?
Sure.
Jump back to Article 1. Maybe I can be entertaining. You guys have had this on here forever. It's always the same language. To elect the following town officers is required by law. Now, this is really to elect them by Australian ballot at the following day. But this is totally unclear to me, if I was a first-time voter, that that's what this means. Is it
I've
possible
always
to get
been-
insert
I've always
to
been
elect?
confused by that.
What's that?
I've always been confused by that. And
Yeah, thank you. Could we put
and-
insert the following? To elect, insert by Australian ballot, the following town officers is required by law, colon, and then what's there? The continuing list?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Fred would explain that every year. Well, this is just saying that you're gonna elect officers by Australian ballot tomorrow.
I know he does,
Yeah.
but why don't we put it in writing for the people at home who are reading this and deciding what should I come to meeting and what's this about?
Right. Sounds good to me.
Yeah, that's a very good clarification.
Thank you. Hope you like the rest of
You
them.
realize how much more money you're gonna cost us in printing?
Oh, damn, take it out of my salary, would you?
Uh,
All right, Article 2. This one I had to read 5 times, and I think I understand it. I'm not sure I understand it. It was hard to even come up with some way to rewrite it to make it more understandable. I just have a couple of suggestions. They might add a little bit of clarity. I don't think they solve the entire problem of understanding, but here they are. And I'll read it with the insertions and deletions, starting at the top. Will the voters of the town of Bristol vote that all real property taxes payable in installments shall bear interest at a rate of 0.75% per month or fraction thereof for the first 3 months, and thereafter 1 1/4% per month or fraction thereof from the due date of each installment with the payment, insert, of the real property taxes and interest to the town treasurer, strike of the real property taxes for the town's fiscal year period of July 1st, 2022 through June 30th, 2023, semicolon, insert real property taxes being due in 2 equal installments on November 15th, 2022 and April 15th, 2023 by physical delivery to the town office before midnight on that date. Just trying to put a little more subject matter into it, I think. And then I thought it might help clarity that the payments of both taxes and interest are due to the town treasurer.
Yeah,
You won't
that's
hurt my
good.
feelings if you say no.
Works for me.
Yeah. I'm happy with any improvements to this because as a person coming to the meeting for the first time all those years ago, it was very confusing, and it's still taken me this long, even now I'm on the select board, to work through these things. So it's great to have someone looking at this and wanting to update it for today's folks.
Superb.
Doesn't mean,
Well,
it doesn't mean I'll understand it any better.
It's small steps.
I'm a little slow at times, and the state came out with some word that meant in equal payments. And I had absolutely no clue. And they're like, well, that means in equal payments. I said, then why don't you just say in equal payments? Because I said, I'm sure if I don't understand it, I'm not the only one.
plain English is really helpful.
It can be.
All right, I'm going to skip down to Article 5. This is for budgets, operating budgets, and it's been this language for years, and it's always driven me crazy. Is there a rule that requires that be one run-on sentence in a warning?
No.
No, really, if there isn't, then I propose the following, at least to help with this out.
Sure.
And I will read it. Will the voters adopt the proposed 2022 to 2023 fiscal year Public Works Highway Fund operating budget in the amount of X? Period. Y of that X to be raised by taxes through a tax rate on the grand list set by the select board sufficient to raise said sum of Y.
Probably should say what year grand list, which you left out the year,
Yep, of the 2020, what was that, 2 grand list?
2022.
Yep.
Sounds good.
I'll have to see Sharon.
Just, no, that's the way we've always done it. I don't know why we should change.
Well, we can also, Jen, with what we work on tonight, send a copy of your notes to Val too, so she has it.
Yep,
Yeah,
I'd be
I
happy to
can't
do
keep
that.
up.
Yeah.
Sure, Val, I'd be happy to send a copy of my notes to you.
That'd be
All
great.
right, well, it's the same comment for Article
Yep.
6, revising that language to be the same comment for Article 7. And that was it. What's the new Article 14? I didn't get a copy of that.
We'll include it. It was another petition.
Oh, okay.
We'll include
Yeah,
the
it's a
next
new
iteration.
petition, Madison Allies Network.
Okay, otherwise, no, that was all my comments. Thank you all for entertaining me.
Well, you're the one that's gonna have to read it in front of everybody. It oughta, some of it to me sounded like such a tongue twister before, and like you said, I didn't understand it. That's just the
Yeah.
way it always was, and that's no reason to keep it that way.
Oh, thank you, Peeker. Those budget articles have always been confusing to me when I try to sit and read them, or I hear Fred read them. It's like, what? So,
And the moderator has to read them at least twice.
right.
The introduction, and then I guess it gets repeated before the vote.
Hey, Jen, do you have any other thoughts on the town report? You know, I'm trying to make it better and more understandable each year. But maybe you and I, if you do have thoughts, maybe you and I can chat about that to see what we can do. I try to get feedback from a group of people in town who sort of I know read it and are interested in it. So I'd love to chat with you about it if you're willing.
Yeah, sure, Ian. I'd be happy to. And what I'll do before our conversation is take a little more time to thoughtfully read through it.
Okay, thanks,
I'm
appreciate it.
looking at 2020 town report. I'll go off that.
Yeah,
Great.
that's the latest, and that has the sort of the most
They haven't
changes in
changed
terms of
them.
just formatting and things like that.
Yep.
Okay, thanks, Jen, for your comments. I appreciate it.
Yep, you're sure. Val, what's your email?
It's townadmin@bristolvt.org.
Okay, got it.
Jennifer, could you include me as well, please?
Yes.
Sure, Sharon. What is it?
clerk@bristolvt.org.
You got it.
So personal.
So if this goes to a virtual, I have no job, is that what it is?
Well, you could at the informational meeting.
All right, we'll talk about it. If it goes that way, you can help me understand what role I'd have there.
Yeah, I think last year it was just, we didn't have anybody that read through stuff for us, right?
No, we did it ourselves.
Yeah.
Yeah, we don't want to do that again. So let's get Jen involved in this.
There was no voting, so it was just reading and discussing.
And
I'm
I
happy
probably
to
read way too fast. So
Yeah, I'll
Yeah.
read dramatically and at a good pace.
I did think I read one meeting and Ian, you did the second one.
yeah,
Mhm.
okay.
Yeah, so there certainly is a job for you if we go virtual.
Yes.
Okay. All right, good to know.
We we just put you on board. And I think part of the reason we didn't use Fred was because he had gone on vacation.
Right.
He'd gone to Florida. I don't know if it's vacation at this point.
And the Zoom,
All
and the Zoom component might have been a bit daunting too.
Right, yeah.
All right.
Alrighty, we're gonna move on.
Thanks,
Bye,
Jennifer.
everybody. Have a good night.
Thanks, Jen.
Thank you.
Good night.
Have a good night. Review and approval of July 26th.
I think that's the only one we have.
Okay,
That's the only one we have, right, Val? It's July 26th?
I'm afraid so. Yep.
Can we
Make
get
a
the
motion.
ones? Sorry. Before I was gonna say, can we get the drafts on the website? We're like 3 or 4 meetings behind.
No, they
Just with
should be there.
anything. Oh, they're on
They
there? Okay.
Yeah, they should be.
All right. I checked last week and they weren't. So you may have updated since then.
Okay, I'll make a motion. We approve the July 26 minutes with the changes that I know I made. I'm not sure who else, but they were mine.
I didn't receive comments from anybody else.
second.
I'll second.
Further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Raise your hand. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carried. There's,
Just to circle back, we have not received the December 20 draft minutes yet, and I was not present for the November 29th special select board meeting that was all executive session. So that's a reminder that if somebody could pull those together, they should be pretty brief. Just the select board met, who was there, the time that it was started and the time that it ended, and what action, if any, was taken afterwards.
What 2 dates? November 29th, and what was the other date?
December 20th. We don't have that draft yet. But
the 20th. She hasn't
Should be
had the
posted.
draft for the- yeah.
Will you do that, Michelle?
Which one was which?
The 29th was the,
The executive session.
yeah.
Yeah.
right. And if you have the one, Michelle, that you did the last time, you can change change the date.
Yeah, I don't know if I have that, but I'll check.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was just, it was the board that was
Right.
there and,
Okay, so I don't have to do anything with the 20th, just the 29th.
No, we're still
Okay,
in the
all
works.
right. Yep.
and there was no vote
No.
after we came out, so.
No.
No, just discussion.
Okay.
All right, no warrants or bills
No.
tonight. No desire to do roundtable?
Not for me.
Any concerns, Ian?
I just had a question. So we talked a little bit about the town report. I had a couple changes and additions and just thoughts. Do we do that? Val suggested having the select board talk about it. Will we do that at next meeting?
That would be my recommendation.
Okay. I don't want to spend too much
It's not
time, but
listed on
there's
the
like,
agenda.
okay. That's, yeah, fine with me.
Mhm.
That's one thing.
That's it.
Okay, so that's not a couple. Darla, anything?
No.
Okay, I'm good. Michelle said she was good.
Super.
Valerie, anything else that you need to fill us in on?
No, but I did just draw attention in the TA report about the equalization study results and put some information in there as a heads up that we appear to be headed toward the need for a townwide reappraisal, and that we need to be sure we're budgeting appropriately for that as well. And being proactive about getting an RFP out sooner rather than later to make sure that we can find somebody to help us with it, because they might be pretty busy with other towns.
Yeah, it's-
When was the last time we did it? 3 years ago?
Yeah, it
Was
wasn't,
it three?
I think we finished up just before the big burst there, and that's what, I think that's what messed us up.
Well, yeah, it certainly did.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but it was
Yeah, 'cause
interesting
it was 19.
to compare with the other towns.
Yeah. Yeah, it looks like there's a half a dozen other towns that are getting really close.
At least those are just the ones I looked at. I mean, I didn't do an exhaustive comparison.
So Val, it looks like it's positive news for the solar town dump. What was dug up? That looks good.
Correct. Yep. Yep.
It was such a relief.
Yeah, well, we had a discussion on what are we gonna do, and I said, maybe we ought to see what Buzz thinks we want to do before, and we went back and forth and realized that he already knew that it had been found, so there was no harm in calling him. So I think that turned out,
In
Yeah.
our favor.
yeah,
Very
it turned
well.
out good.
Cool.
So what, do folks feel that we need to continue the executive session, or do you think we're good for now where we left off?
What else?
Very good.
Yeah, what else would we have to discuss? We went through,
Well, there would have been the contract negotiation related to the solar situation. That we wanted to have a conversation about that before, anticipating that we needed to
hire an engineer.
hire an engineer to help us interpret the study, the report analysis, and then make recommendations. But it looks as though
We
that,
don't need that.
In light of Buzz's take
Right.
on it, we should be fine.
right? I mean,
Now,
there's
is the
a little bit of additional
saying that-
information, but I don't know that we need to have a special select board meeting just for that. Or, continue the executive session just for that. Then the other thing is if we talk a little bit about some of the follow-up from your previous executive session on some personnel matter things. But that doesn't have to be tonight either. If folks are,
Can we do that tonight?
Yeah,
Let's do that.
yeah, this was just supposed to be budget, so that's not budget related, so.
good with
Joel's
that.
not here, so we're gonna,
So am I. That's all I have.
all right, then I guess I would accept the motion to adjourn.
Make a motion to adjourn.
I will second.
Further, no, I don't have to have discussion. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Raise your hand.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carried.
Great.
Great.
Lovely.
Thank
Thank
you
you,
very much for
everyone.
your patience,
all.
everybody.
See you next Monday.
Yes.
Happy New Year, everybody.
Yeah.
Bye.
Happy
Night.
New Year.